Hello. Welcome back. Celtic 3, Hibs 1. Not a lot to say about this game. It was it was one-way traffic, honestly. There was not a lot from Hibs. They offered almost nothing. If David Gray survives this season, I would honestly be shocked. So we'll kind of go through it, kind of the important parts of the game. There was some really good stuff from Celtic. I rated the players really highly, so we'll do the player ratings here at the end. We'll also talk about the draw for the next round. In the fourth minute, we got the scoring off quick again. Maeda and a nice little front post run. Hatate gets behind the line. He puts in a nice cross, this little cutback. Maeda does his little front post run. It's very Kyogo-like. He doesn't actually get a super clean contact on it. He just kind of, it looks like he kind of scuffed it, honestly. And I think it may have taken a deflection. Either way, ends up past the goalie in the back of the net. Not the prettiest goal you've ever seen, but I'll take it. So that started off really well. Maeda looked super dangerous this game, actually. He ended up being man of the match, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Over the next 10 or 15 minutes, some more really good play from Celtic. Really slick, a lot of really dangerous balls into the area. Really good play from O'Reilly, especially put in several really nice balls. Should have had, honestly, a couple more goals, but we finally got one in the 16th minute. Kuhn puts in an amazing ball over the defense, right into Maeda's path. Gets in. Of course, he's running at 100 miles an hour. He gets just a touch of the ball. As the goalie keeper's running out towards him, there's another defender coming in kind of at an angle. He puts in a tiny little touch. Somehow it just squeaks by both of them. They end up colliding like it was something out of a cartoon. And the ball just dribbles ever so slowly into the goal. It's a Maeda goal, I mean, it's just a complete Maeda goal. It just looks like it's ugly, but the pass from Kuhn was incredible. But Maeda, again, just uses his athleticism, his work rate, his speed, and just gets a tiny little touch. And it just dribbles right in. Again, we'll take it. It's 2-0 up. It's all Celtic at this point. I think Hibs probably had 10% possession at this point in the game. We were just running all over them. There was nothing they could do. At this point, they looked uninterested. The Hibs looked like they didn't even really want to be there. Plus they were in purple uniforms. Those third kits are horrific. I mean, to add insult to injury for the season for them, those kits are a disaster. They're a monstrosity. They need to be burned. I would never wear them again if I were them. Anyway, it's 2-0 up Celtic. After that, we could have gone 3-4-5 up pretty easily. It's a lot of really good play, a lot of slick passing, a lot of great interplay. I mean, when we do the ratings later, you'll see I don't think anybody was under a 6 today. There was nobody that was bad. I mean, everybody was on it. A couple of the subs that came on later looked a little rusty, but we'll get to that. In the 29th minute, Maeda got his first chance of several at his hat trick. It was a great little dink pass from Hatate to put it onto Maeda's left foot. He hit it first time over the bar by about a foot. Really, really close. He did well to get it that close. It would have been, if that had gone in, it would have been an unbelievable goal. But he did have a couple more chances later on to get his hat trick, and he never did, unfortunately. Spoiler alert. In the 35th minute, big moment for Hibs. It's their one real moment of the entire game. CCV commits a foul, gets a yellow card, kind of comes through the back of a player to try to win a header. It was a fair call. Slightly harsh yellow, but no complaints. I think it's probably mostly fair. They put in a great cross from the free kick, back post. I forget the guy's name. He's a Ukrainian guy. I think he's on loan. Anyway, he looked offside, but again, we'll get to that in a second. He does this diving header to the far post, so back across, because the cross came into the back post. He comes in, diving header, back across the goal, Kasper Schmeichel has absolutely no chance at it. It's an incredible header. It's a 10 out of 10 header. It's just one of those where you're like, wow, congrats. That's well done. It's their only chance of pretty much the entire game, and they did it extremely well. So hats off to him. VAR checked it for offsides afterwards. The lines are a little bit of a joke. They drew Hatate's shoulder. They drew the line for Hatate's shoulder, but not for the knee of the Hibs player. And he still looks offsides, but they didn't draw his line. I don't know. If you can find a picture of the lines for both of them, post it down below, a link or whatever. But I didn't see it. The lines that they drew, it was only for Hatate's shoulder, and it looked like the knee was in front of the shoulder, but they didn't draw the line for the knee. I don't know. It's kind of a mess. I mean, VAR in Scotland is a mess. Everybody knows that, but it's fine. It's fine that it wasn't called off. It looked offsides. It was extremely close. It was an unbelievable header. So, and part of me is kind of like, I'm kind of glad he got the goal because it was just so good. It's kind of be a shame, even though it's against Celtic, it would be kind of a shame to have a goal like that chopped off for like an inch offsides or something. So it is what it is. Unbelievable header. I mean, that's like a kind of a goal of the season contender for me. I mean, it was that good. It was just kind of this looping. The ball just kind of looked like it was standing still. Like it looked like it was just floating. It was strange. It was a really, the camera angle on it was kind of perfect. And Kasper, of course, has absolutely no chance. There could have been two goalies in there and they wouldn't have saved it. So, anyway, great goal. Now, moving on from there, that kind of seemed like there was a pretty big momentum shift. Hibs kind of started playing some good stuff there for about 15 minutes. Celtic looked a little bit nervous, like the roles were kind of reversed. The first 30-odd minutes, Celtic were completely dominant. Hibs looked completely disjointed. Every time they got the ball, they were just booting it upfield or booting it out of bounds. They couldn't string 2 or 3 passes together. And then after the goal, it kind of switched to where Hibs were starting to kind of come onto the game, and they were stringing some passes together, and they looked okay for a little while. Celtic, we were looking like we were trying to force it too much, and just didn't look as good as we had been. So, but then a few minutes later, in I think the 39th minute, another big moment, but this time for Celtic. James Forrest busts into the box, gets right in between a couple defenders, gets past them, and then he goes down. Now, when I saw it live, it looked like definite penalty, no question about it. When they played it back a few times, he goes down a little soft, a little easy. There is definitely contact, but it's how much contact and what type of contact. There's definitely like an arm that kind of shoves him a bit. I thought, when I watched it live, I thought maybe he got tripped, like there was some like foot contact. I don't think there was. I think he was mostly just kind of pushed. It's a 50-50 for me. I could see it going either way. Kevin Clancy said no. They looked it on VAR. He didn't even go look at it, so I guess they didn't see a clear and obvious error. And that makes sense, because there was nothing, when you watch the replay, there's nothing that's like, oh my gosh, it's 100% a penalty. I've seen those given and I've seen them not given. It's one of those gray areas where, I mean, you'll have some people saying yes, some people saying no. I thought it was a penalty, but I can see why it wasn't given. And then at the very end of the first half, Maeda once again had his opportunity to get his hat trick. It was an unbelievable pass from Greg Taylor. Again, another through ball to Maeda. He's breaking in one-on-one versus the goalie. He's got a defender kind of like on his shoulder. The ball comes down, nice for him. I thought he was just about to have a crack at it and just smash it, but it kind of came off his knee weird. I don't even really know what happened. Again, it's another Maeda play where just he does all the work to get into the right positions, and he beats his defender, and he's so incredibly fast, and his work ethic is amazing. And then he just, when it comes to just doing the simple thing where it's just like, just kick it. Just kick the ball. That's all you have to do. Just hit it with your foot and see where it goes. It just kind of like, it just kind of falls apart. And And it's kind of hilarious sometimes with him. It comes off his knee. Like that's something my son would do. He'd go to kick it and it would like hit his knee or something. Anyway, it was just kind of a Maeda play, but he got himself into a really good position, and he couldn't finish it. The second half began kind of like the first. Celtic were still pretty dominant. There weren't as many clear-cut chances for most of the second half. The second half was a little bit less eventful than the first. I think just tired legs and all that. It just felt like at times we were trying to walk the ball into the net. We got into really good positions. Tons of crosses, tons of cutbacks. We got to the byline pretty much whenever we wanted to. I mean, Kuhn and Forrest and even the fullbacks were just in the midfield. Everybody was getting to the byline. We were doing all these really slick, nice, intricate passes to get to the byline, and then we'd do these cutbacks, and they would just be just a hair off. And could never really finish him off. Again, on a different day, we could have had 5 or 6 goals, honestly, if we had some better service into the box. But next big moment, 56th minute, Hibs trying to be too cute, trying to play it out of the back, passing the ball around kind of recklessly. Maeda's putting a lot of pressure on the defender. He turns, gives the back pass to the goalie. It's a little bit soft, a little reckless. Kuhn, you can see, if you watch the replay back, Kuhn, as soon as that ball goes back, actually right before the ball gets played back, Kuhn jumps on it. He pounces, so he starts sprinting back towards the goalie. As soon as the goalie gets it, he tries to just kind of first time pass it off to his left to another defender. Kuhn's in his face at this point. Just deflects the ball right, blocks the pass, deflects it right into the goal. It's a cheesy goal, but I'll take it all day long. It's a work effort goal. It's something that you get from just doing the basics, not giving up on the play, following the ball. So yeah, I'll take it. 3-1. In the 60th minute, Forrest comes off for Adam Ida. So he comes on to a big applause. He's back in the building. He ended up looking kind of rusty. He didn't look great. He did okay. There was a few things he did right that we'll talk about. Made a couple good runs. But he didn't do a whole lot. At this point, the game was pretty much over. Hibs had kind of folded at this point. They weren't doing anything. I mean, they were kind of playing like they were the ones up by 2 goals because they weren't pressing. They weren't going for goal really at all. They had completely just capitulated, and they pretty much forfeit the game. But Adam Ida did come on. It was good to see him on there. He gives a different dynamic. Maeda went out to the left, and again, Forrest came off. Maeda, again, even when he was back out on the wing, he just looks so hard to deal with for defenders and the wingers. I mean, he's back on defense. I said this during the live stream that it's like when you were a kid and you were running through people's yards to go to your friend's house. Like I used to jump fences and run through people's yards and jump over the fence and go to my buddy's house. It's when you're jumping over the fence and there's a dog in the yard and the dog just chases you all the way to the fence line. That's Maeda. He won't stop. He will just chase you all day long. And he's so hard to deal with. He's not human. I've never seen anybody run like this. It's like he's like watching a cartoon, honestly. But so his work ethic is just so fun to watch him until he gets the ball in a good position and he just forgets how to kick a ball. But all the other stuff he does is so fun to watch. And speaking of Maeda, in the 71st minute, he had yet another chance for his hat trick, this time from the wing. Makes a nice run into the box. Perfectly timed run, honestly. O'Reilly puts a sweet little ball into him. He just gets his first touch a little bit wrong where he shows too much of it to the defender. Defender gets a foot in and blocks it, and it goes out. Again, if he had just touched it slightly away from the defender, he would have had a shot. He would have had a wide open shot. So again, it's just that those little things that Maeda doesn't have in his locker that cost him again. Not much happens for the rest of the game. some substitutes came on, Bernardo, Palma, Yang, might have been one or two others, but those are the main ones. The substitutes did fine. I thought Paulo Bernardo played pretty well. He and O'Reilly are basically identical when they're on the field. Sometimes it's really hard to tell them apart. O'Reilly ended up putting another sweet, sweet little ball into Adam Ida. Perfectly timed run. It was just a tad heavy. I mean, if he had taken about a yard off that pass, Adam Ida would be, one-on-one with the goalie. It would have been an easy goal. But he kind of, Ida and the goalkeeper kind of got to the ball at the exact same time. So it was just a tad bit heavy. But O'Reilly put about 5 or 6 really nice through balls in throughout the game. Really unlucky to not have any assists tonight. He could have easily had 3 or 4, but just wasn't to be. And then I think in the 87th minute, in the 87th minute, Bernardo does really, really well to keep the ball alive on the edge of the box. Ball was kind of pinging around. It was really sloppy there towards the end, but Bernardo kept it alive, kind of toe poked it past the defender to Palma, who had so much space. He was wide open. A whole net to shoot at from right at the top of the box. No defenders within 5 yards of him. And he misses the target. And he's too good to miss the target. He's one of our best players. And he pulled it wide. Now, on another day, he could have just put that right in the bottom corner and you'd be like, oh my God, what a great shot. But you gotta hit the target from there. You have to. You cannot miss the target. So I was pretty disappointed to see that because I like Palma and I like to see him get on the score sheet, but really disappointed with that shot though. He probably scores that about 7 out of 10 times. He hits the target probably 9 out of 10 times. I can't believe he missed the target though. It's one of those situations where he probably had too much time to think about it. It was too open. And, when that happens, you kind of get a little nervous and you just do something crazy, but you got to be hitting the target there. And that was it. Blew the whistle not too long after the Palma chance. Hibs are terrible. They're really bad. David Gray, if he makes it through the season, I'll be shocked. They need help. They really need, if they get McCown from Dundee, that would be a big help. Their midfield looked really poor. They just couldn't control the ball at all. Their only chances were long balls. They had a couple where long ball to, just there was one in particular where I thought it crossed the byline, but it made it right to the end line and the winger just kind of crossed it in the last second. It's stuff like that where they're playing out from the back and they just hit long balls and they're playing for set pieces. It was never in doubt. The game was never, ever, ever in doubt. They had one lucky goal. Well, it wasn't lucky. It was a great goal. But they had one moment that was good, and the rest of the game they were terrible. I don't know where they go from here because they shouldn't be this bad. They are too big of a club and they have too much money to look this terrible. So let's move on to player ratings real quick. Let me pull this up. So let's go through this real quick. I'm just going to kind of do this live and in color here. I haven't really thought about the ratings too much yet. Casper, I'm going to go with a 6 for Casper. Didn't have really anything to do. The one goal that we conceded, it wasn't his fault at all. There was nothing he could do about it. It was an unbelievable header. He did make a couple easy saves that were pretty much right at him. So I'm just going to kind of give him an average, just a 6. Did fine. Didn't do anything good. Didn't do anything bad. Just was there. Alistair Johnson, I'm going to go... He put some nice balls into the box. The goal wasn't his fault. We're going to go 7. 7. Just like an above average. It's kind of a typical... This game was very typical for a lot of players. Alistair Johnson's one of them. It was just like a very typical Alistair Johnson game. Just super solid at the back. Really good going forward. A lot of energy. Good balls into the box. Yeah, good game from him. Cameron Carter-Vickers, he had a good game. He's going to get a minus a point because of the foul that led to the goal. But he made some really good tackles. He's just kind of a beast at the back. I would say 8, but I'm going to give him a 7 because of the goal. He was also closest. Well, Hatate was actually the closest guy to the player that ended up heading it. But I'm not going to give. Hatate's like 5 foot nothing, so I'm not going to really rag on him for that. But I'm going to give him a 7, though, because he was really good for most of the game. It's just that the one foul that led to the goal. Scales is really good. I'm going 8. I thought he was really good today. He was super solid. He was really good on the ball. He was good in the air. He had a lot of headers. I'm going 8. Really, really thought Scales did well today. Another 8 for Greg Taylor. Excellent game. He was flying under the radar. Most of the games he flies under the radar. You don't really notice what he does most games, but today I noticed him. Put in several really, really good passes. Really kind of intricate passes down that left-hand side with Forrest, inside with Maeda and like Hatate and O'Reilly. Just really good. And obviously didn't get beat really on his on defense at all. So I'm going 8. McGregor and Hatate, I'm going 7 for both of them. Super solid. Didn't put a foot wrong the whole game. I don't think McGregor misplaced a single pass the entire game. I don't know this for sure, but I think he probably had a 100% pass accuracy. I'm just saying that. I don't know that. There's no statistic that tells me that, but just from the eye test, I don't remember him misplacing a pass. Hatate is obviously the more adventurous one, the one that plays more dangerous passes, so he's going to misplace a few. He played some really nice stuff. He almost had that assist to... He did have an assist to Maeda, and he almost had another one to Maeda with that little dink pass to Maeda's first time left foot. It was really pretty. If that had gone in, it would have been a beautiful goal, but wasn't to be. So I'm going 7, Hatate and McGregor. O'Reilly, I'm going 8. He just kind of stood out more to me. Out of the midfield 3, he seemed the most dangerous, the most... He was just everywhere. He'd show up on the wing, and then he'd be in the middle, and then he'd be up in the box, and then he'd be back on defense. He was all over the place. I don't want him to leave. I really, really don't want him to leave. If he does, it's going to be for... It's not going to be for a cent under $25 million. So he looked really, really good again. Kuhn, I'm going to go 8. Got his goal, had an assist, a beautiful assist. Just looked really dangerous. He was really on it today. Just pressing was really good, and he got his goal from it. I just think he looked really dangerous today. And again, there was at one point he had a kind of a wide open shot, and he tried to curl it back post, and it didn't turn out for him. Anyway, Forrest, we're gonna go. I thought he was probably one of the weaker ones today. I'm torn between 6 or 7. I'm going to go 6.5. I think he was probably one of the weaker outfield players today. He didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't do a whole lot, like, really good. He was solid, but to me, like, a 6 is kind of an average day. It's like what you would expect. It's kind of like your bare minimum for keeping your spot as a starter. And he was better than that. So I'd say, 6.5, I guess. Maybe a 7. I don't know. Tell me down below if I'm wrong or if you think I'm an idiot. Maeda, I'm going 8.5. You know what? I'm going 9. I'm going 9 for Maeda. I'm giving him a bonus. I'm going to go an 8, but I'm giving him a bonus point because he was playing out of position. When I saw him starting up in the middle, I was like, oh boy, here we go. We've seen this before. He's not I mean, he has been good before as a center forward, but to me, he's better on the wing. I think he can affect a game more on the wing. So I was a little bit worried when I saw him starting in the middle, but he did really well. He scored 2 goals. Obviously, he did good. He easily could have had a hat trick several times. He could have had 3 or 4 goals. So, but he was really, really good. It's a 9. He was the man of the match for the game. I agree with it. I don't think there's really much to argue with. Some of the I'm not going to do player ratings for the substitutes. They all kind of were just meh. They didn't really do. Again, they were probably all 6s. Luis Palma missed a great chance. He looked a little rusty. Adam Ida looked rusty. Paulo Bernardo I thought played well. He was probably a 7, but other than that, everybody was 6s and 7s on the for substitutes, except maybe Yang. He's probably 6. Okay, last bit of news before we go is the draw for the next round. We've got Celtic have Kilmarnock. They're hosting. It'll be at Celtic Park. Rangers will be at Hampton against Dundee. Aberdeen against Spartans, and Motherwell versus Dundee United. A couple good games in there. I think Rangers probably got the hardest draw, honestly. I mean, that's a tough one. Dundee are in really good form. Rangers are not in great form. So we'll kind of see how that one turns out. Celtic versus Falkirk. That's a decent draw for Celtic. I think any of these teams would have been fine for Celtic. Honestly, Aberdeen and Dundee are looking like probably the toughest opponents right now. So anyways, that's the draw for the next round. I think that takes place, September 21st or 22nd. So we'll kind of see how that goes in the next few weeks, how the teams are coming along. But that's it for me today. 3-1 Celtic. Another win. Moving on to the next round. Next week we have St. Mirren on Sunday. We'll be doing a live stream for that. I'll be following any news about transfers. We've got 2 weeks left in the transfer window. About 2 weeks. Still need a left back, so maybe a center back. We'll see. But yeah. See you back for the St. Mirren game.